Hi, my name is Callum Pollard. I am a student on the MA in Graphic Design course at the University of Hertfordshire, and in this video I'll be covering if the mental health of British graphic designers is being affected by the digital age. Mental health is a growing topic of conversation in today's UK society. In 2014, the NHS Information Centre for Health and Social Care produced a survey indicating that 1 in 4 people in the UK suffers from a mental health problem in any given year, and also cites that the number of people who self-harm or have suicidal thoughts is in fact increasing. Later, in 2018, Ulster University published a report targeting the creative industries that claimed that the likelihood of a mental health problem within the creative sector is 3 times that of the general population. This places 3/4 of our industry at having a high likelihood of suffering a mental health problem each year. Both papers cite anxiety and depression as the key mental health problems within their research. This being said, however, the mental health story within creatives is not new news. There are many examples of mental issues throughout the creative sector's history. Vincent van Gogh was known to suffer from frequent episodes of depression and anxiety, while according to some sources, exhibiting symptoms of bipolar disorder. Mark Twain suffered from bipolar disorder and then in later years depression. Edvard Munch suffered from hallucinations, depression and suicidal urges. And even in more modern times, Barney Bubbles suffered severe manic depression. This, coupled with a tough personal and professional life, led to his suicide in 1983. Alexander McQueen had suffered from anxiety and depression before committing suicide in 2010. Kate Spade was suffering depression and anxiety before her suicide in 2018. The ongoing link between the creative sector and mental health is clear. However, with the issue rising in the general populace, has the pressures on British creatives gotten worse with the rise of the digital world? Focusing on the personal profession of graphic design, I interviewed Andre Knott, the creative director at Stockdale Martin. Andre has 24 years of experience within marketing design, publishing design, TV, legal and charity designs, to just name a few. Starting in around 1995, Andre has worked through the birth of the digital shift, with the early computerization of graphic design, through the birth of the early websites and digital developments, to now where he works on a multitude of projects involving new skills in 3D and in web applications. But does he believe that the digital age has worsened the pressures and/or added new pressures on creatives from when he started in the industry?
I don't think so.
No.
No, I think the pressure's always been there, and it's just moved to a different realm. When I started out, you had to learn how to do print design and how to make film, and go into Rubelith and cutting Rubelith and doing all sorts of kind of crazy bits with film and doing chromolins and so on and so forth. You don't do that now. We do banner adverts and web pages and so on. I think the skill of a designer is to traverse that genre, and you were presented with what you're presented with.
Okay. So it's more kind of a modernisation of the same kind of tool.
Yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, they still want the same deadlines. No one ever wanted. It wasn't like golden days where you used to get 4 months to do something. They still wanted within a week. So if you just did it with film, and a chromolin instead of. But then you moved to PDFs and and rainbows, and now you just send a PDF. So that's less pressure, in fact.
Okay.
You just pick a PDF out, but yeah, I mean, there's pressure there, but I don't know that it's increased because of digital.
Andre leads to the point that the modernisation of the designer's toolkit presents a pressure to stay relevant with software and knowledge. But with this new technology and the ability to be more precise and faster, has this raised the standards for the quality of design?
No, I think it's gone backwards.
Oh, okay.
The skill set when I came out of college and the expectation of a designer was much higher. I wouldn't have got by. I was almost given the bullet for using a midpoint instead of a bullet point.
Oh,
and, I was like, oh no, day one on the job and I'm about to lose my job. Oh my god. But that could have been an initiation ceremony. But but still, there was that time where things were very much more structured. You had to be structured because if you're going to pass off a design to someone who's going to artwork it for you and you haven't paid attention to the basic standards, then you ain't getting the job back from print that's going to be right. Now you do a PDF and you send it and they print it regardless.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I know I used to work in a catalogue company, and there was still elements such as what would be considered more old school. They had a copywriter, but they had a proofreader, and he used to pull people up on short, medium, or NM dashes and things like that. And this was never something I learned in college or at school. Or we did a lot of typographical stuff, which I have to admit I've learned on the job.
Oh, you do learn that stuff on the job, definitely. Because, I don't think the colleges can prepare students that are coming into work, but that level of quality is gone. Certainly from the peripheries. I don't know whether or not you're working for a really tight agency that has a moral base, whether or not you'll get by without skills. But in just the standards, in marketing, they wouldn't know because they don't study typography, they just want an idea.
Yeah.
But I used to work for a guy who would throw stuff at you if you did it badly. If you're off the grid by 0.25 of a millimeter, not even 0.25, 0.1973, you find a number that's random in InDesign, and you presented that to him, and he would throw stuff at you and aim it for you. So those days have gone, which I'm glad because it's painful. But then it's a shame because the tools are all in the programs. There's grids, there's all sorts of different ways to structure your design work, and I see it very rarely employed today.
Okay. An interesting twist in the interview. In Andre's mind, the increase in technology and automation has lowered the quality of designers and in design work. This almost suggests that in an effort to stay relevant with software and trends, designers have lost the rigid quality that used to be standard. This supposedly would lower the pressure of maintaining such a high quality. However, with designers now chasing trends and new software, has this caused any other pressures that are unique within the creative industry in a digital age?
I'm not sure. I think pressure is a personal thing. So, if you have a good skill set, confident in what you're doing, then you put good work out and you'll do it in a good time. If you're not, then you might fall behind and then feel the pressure of needing to deliver. Or if you don't have the skill sets, you might find you can't keep up with the work you're doing. But I think that's the same for print as it is for building a website. If you have the skills to build a website, then you don't have the pressure because I'm going to do this. I'm not sure that deadlines are any quicker. I can see that they perceive to be because people think a website you can just turn on and off. But that is a release ring as well. Some way, if you make a spelling mistake in a website, you can just fix it the next day. And no one will notice, or maybe someone will notice, but they haven't mentioned it on the blog yet.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I think it's a personal thing. Pressure is felt by individuals, and it probably comes from not having the ability to do it, or not having the confidence to do it. And if you have both of those, then I think you'll find your pressure is off.
Nothing unique to digital, but confidence with skills are king, as this will remove the pressures later on in a project. This relates back to the case of staying relevant with skills and having a high level of capability with those skills. This has always been the case, even before the digital shift, according to Andre. With pressures on the designer being about relevance and skill, is there a change in how the typical client works with or expects from the designer in a digital age?
Say it's a similar thing, because the language of design has changed. So it's more prevalent now. Everything is designed, and back in the day, not everything really was to level it is now. So people are more aware of design, and more people are studying design. I mean, when I left, I think 2,000 graduates a year, and now it's 20,000 more, probably, to be fair, going into the marketplace. So, so the fact that more people generally are aware of design means there's improve what you get because you're expected to give better. So, but I think you run up to the problem you're always faced, and if the person is not savvy or hasn't got taste or doesn't care, then no matter what you try and say, it ain't going to work with them. And some people have got the golden tongue and massage people into doing what they want, but then that works for most clients. You can bring them around to what you want to do, bring them onto your way of thinking. But some people just don't do that, and you can't. So I think, apart from this level of design improvement generally, I think it's probably the same.
With a huge increase in exposure of design, clients are expecting more to be designed by the creative sector. In response, the creative sector has produced an increase of designers. This levels the pressure out on the individual designer by creating a bigger marketplace for design, however, one populated likely by younger and younger designers, potentially being a cause of the drop in quality mentioned by Andre earlier. So what does this mean for the industry? Well, the rise in the mental health crisis isn't increasing thanks to professional pressures. Instead, the pressure on creatives has remained consistent within the industry, and instead, it remains a sociological issue. Although the pressure has remained consistent, designers are expected to know a wider array of tools in order to stay competitive within the market, therefore, to stay relevant as a creative within the digital age. With coping with pressure being a personal aspect, it's up to designers to prepare themselves for it and to be honest with clients. Overpromising and underpricing are two flaws that often happen within the creative sector. Ulster University cites 20% of creatives are being paid below the poverty line. This could well be down to inexperience or pressure to not say no. In further talks with Andre, it was discussed that education is behind the curve, leaving graduates having to catch up with industry, which would pile even more pressure onto the already beleaguered juniors within the sector. In this respect, with graduates being not prepared for industry, without guidance of how to deal with these pressures, and with no real support within the industry, the high number behind the mental health issues is set to stay.